Hey, my good buddy Dr. Soraya is going to be here today and talk about a bronchoscopy that he does on patients. What does he see inside the lungs? Wait till you see this. This is amazing toward the end of the show. And then Dr. Ken Hunter is going to be here, Frank Jordan and Mark Campbell and Dr. Ken Hunter, to talk about your immune system. That's really important that you understand how this functions or not, right? I'm going to open today's show with this statement. Cancer is on the rise. The reasons, folks, would be comical if they weren't so serious. The reason they're saying cancer is on the rise. I think we're getting into more fungus. They don't. Then, of course, we'll have a cooking segment. Of course, Nurse Jenny Herbachik is going to be here. All that, and I assure you a whole lot more on today's Know the Cause. This show is brought to you by the NSC Company. When you can't, Beta Glue can. My name is Doug Kaufman. For the past 40 years, I've dedicated my life and even my career to finding the root cause of disease. Join me in a team of physicians, pharmacists, and scientists, and soon you too will know the cause. Folks, I wonder how many of you have been diagnosed with melanoma, squamous cell carcinoma, basal cell carcinoma, skin cancers. You know, with a show of hands, how many of you? How many of you know someone who's been diagnosed? What causes it? I'm the guy who's been writing on cancer and fungus being kind of intimate with one another. So when you have a skin fungal condition, could it look like cancer? A headline came out the other day and I said, home run, here it is. Concerns raised over accuracy of melanoma diagnoses. And I thought, yes, they're finally going to say it's fungus and it's not melanoma at all. But as it turns out, based on pathologist rating system, the condition may be overdiagnosed or it might be underdiagnosed. Yawn, British Medical Journal 2017. Here's the deal. They gave a bunch of pathologists some melanoma tissues, and they grade them on a 1 to 5, and they were finding that some pathologists are saying it's a number 3 when it's a number 4, so they're underdiagnosing, and you're supposed to be overdiagnosing if you hit a number 5, and it should be a number 3, right? That's what they call overdiagnosing. Boring. What's the cause of melanoma? Why are all these studies being done? I found this 50, 60 years ago in a medical textbook, that sometimes skin fungus can be called skin cancer. Go with me here. Squamous cell carcinoma. You guys know about this. Over 1 million cases diagnosed in the USA alone. Mainly caused, okay, go with me now. You're going to laugh. Mainly caused by cumulative exposure to sunlight over a lifetime. Look at the next one. Most cancers of the anus, cervix, head and neck, and vagina are squamous cell carcinoma. Next one. Something's wrong. So rarely is my bottom exposed to the sun, right? I mean, this is the most insane thing. Here's the way we think in medicine. Sunlight causes anal cancer. Think about that, folks. Or vaginal cancer, or cervical cancer. Just think about that. What causes squamous cell carcinoma? There's a fungus called blastomycosis. It's a fungal infection caused by inhaling the blastomycetes dermatitis fungus. The fungus is found in wood and soil. The fungus is dimorphic, meaning that at body temp, we're 98.6 degrees, it can change from mold, which it is, to the parasitic yeast form to invade and reside inside the human body. And look at this, only 50% have lung involvement. It can grow on the skin. What that means is, so this blastomycosis is this blastomycosis fungus that you're inhaling, yet only 50% of it is involved in the lungs. So it's quickly disseminated. You're sitting there inhaling, they've just tore up the soil around your house, or you've got some old wood and you're inhaling this blasto mold, and you go to the doctor and the doctor takes an x-ray and he says, wow, you've got a fungus in there, let's do some cultures on it and see what it is. But only 50% of the time it gets in here. It can grow on the skin. It's well documented as growing on the skin. Okay, but in 1988, a doctor at a hospital gave me his book on fungus, Johns Hopkins medical textbook on fungus. And look at this slide. This is going to blow you away. Skin blastomycosis, it's a real thing. Localized cutaneous, that means skin, fungus, is frequently mistaken for squamous cell carcinoma, says Clinical and Immunologic Aspects of Fungus Diseases circa 1957. Just look at that again, one more time. Localized skin fungus is frequently mistaken for squamous cell carcinoma. Okay? That should blow all of us away, folks. That should absolutely blow all of us away because we're out in the sun, we're working in the field, we're washing the car, we're mowing the lawn, and we go to the doctor and say, you know, I got this little hunifastugi up here on my ear or on my nose or on my lip. Oh, that's the worst kind of cancer I ever saw. Get in, how's your insurance? Get in here right away. Slow down. This stuff circulates in the air. You know, you could have inhaled it. It could now, 20 years later, be growing on your ear or your nose or your lips. Talk to the doctor, folks, about putting a drop or two of oregano oil or any of the healing oils on this. I mean, there's so many of them that are so good. And a little spot Band-Aid at night, tell the doctor, before we do surgery on this or you diagnose with cancer, let me put 1 or 2 drops on, I'll sleep with the Band-Aid on, and see if my squamous cell carcinoma was mistaken for skin cancer. Time to slow down here, folks. Many conditions are due to mold, and doctors don't know that. My wife and I were traveling recently. I love blueberry muffins, but I can't find them when they're made this way. Know the Cause welcomes you to another of my Kaufman diet recipes. Today we're making blueberry muffins with coconut flour. I had one of these and it is delicious. So let's get started. Here are the ingredients. 6 organic eggs, 6 tablespoons of organic butter or coconut oil, slightly melted but not hot, 6 tablespoons of unsweetened applesauce, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, a half a teaspoon of sea salt, a half a cup of coconut flour, and 1 cup of fresh organic blueberries. You might also want to add walnuts or pecans, or a dash of cinnamon or other berries. Now here are the directions for the Kaufman Diet blueberry with coconut flour muffins, and they're good. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees. In a large bowl, combine the eggs. You can beat the eggs with a fork. Next, let's add the melted butter. Add the unsweetened applesauce. Add the vanilla, then the salt. And next we add the coconut flour. Again, mix it until it's smooth. Fold in the blueberries. Scoop into buttered or paper cup-lined cupcake or muffin tins. The recipe makes about 10 cupcake-sized muffins or about 6 large muffins. Bake for about 20 minutes or until a toothpick is inserted and comes out clean. After about 15 minutes, check the tops of the muffins and tint with foil to prevent them from burning. Let cool for about 5 to 10 minutes and then enjoy. Remember, the recipe is on knowthecause.com. You hear the name all the time, pesticides, pesticides. Can they really hurt us? Nurse Jenny Herbacek talks about that. Then afterwards, beta-glucan in your immune system. Good thing? Has been for me. Watch this.
Hi, I'm Jenny Herbacek with the Cancer Connection. Did you know that there are at least 70 widely used pesticides that are in use, and these are classified as probable or possible human carcinogens? We find pesticides in our homes, our schools, our hospitals, and our workplaces. But the greatest exposure comes from the amount of chemical residue that's on our food. You can minimize exposure by buying organic vegetables and fruits. But I like to wash my fruits and vegetables in a sink with half a cup of distilled white vinegar. I look at the label to find a natural vinegar that says made from grain on the label. If it does not say made from grain, it's probably a petroleum product. For Know the Cause, I'm Jenny Herbacek.
Oh, I'm sitting on the edge of my chair here. I'm with Dr. Ken Hunter from the University of Nevada School of Medicine in Reno. He is a microbiologist, an immunologist, pathology. He does a little bit of everything. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
Your name has been thrown around in this studio for 15 years by Frank Jordan and Mark. This is an amazing event, folks, that he is here. Dr. Hunter has been involved for 20 years, Frank, 1997 to now, on researching the beta-glucan. And teach us just a little bit of what you've been involved in during that period of time. How have you made this product that many of us, tens of thousands of us, are swallowing every day better?
When I think back 20 years ago when Frank Jordan, NSC, approached the university, working out of Nevada back in those days, it was really a sort of a simplistic question initially asked. We have a product here, we think this product works, but we look at it under the microscope and it's these big globs of things, and we just don't think that's the appropriate form of beta-glucan. And that was exactly true. And the initial work that we did was essentially to take that material and make it a uniform, small particle-sized material. As an aside, I guess I'm sort of a lark within the last 6 months. I had one of my staff members take a look at a half a dozen of the other beta-glucan products out on the market, and they had one thing in common. They all looked exactly like Frank's product did 20 years ago. Hasn't changed a bit. And so we started with that, but then over the last 20 years, we've done a lot more on the very sophisticated way in which beta-glucan activates and manipulates and balances the immune system. And we've published a reasonable number of papers giving scientific validity to this product. And that's what's happened over the last 20 years.
What Frank was filling me in on, there's a pathogen, folks, a yeast, a single-cell fungus called Candida albicans, and Candida can even be neutralized with this fungal cell wall with beta-glucan. I mean, that's huge, knowing that.
Yeah, exactly. There's several publications in the open scientific literature now that are just astonishing, showing that orally taken beta-glucan can actually substantially reduce the numbers of Candida albicans cells in the gastrointestinal tract. And of course, Candida is one of these pathogenic yeasts that it causes disease in a wide variety of places. I mean, you can have oral thrush, and you can have it on your skin, and women have vaginal candidiasis. And esophagitis caused by Candida is an incredibly dangerous disease. And so the notion, and we probably shouldn't be too surprised by this, I guess, since Candida albicans is a yeast whose cell wall is beta-glucan, and the beta-glucan that is made by NSC, which is a stimulant of the immune system, would stimulate an immune response that would be very, very active against Candida albicans.
You kind of knew that it had potential 20 years ago. I'm sure you're impressed now.
Doug, one of my highlights of my life is to be a co-inventor with Dr. Kenneth Hunter and Dr. Ruth Galt from the University of Nevada School of Medicine on a patent involving small particle beta-glucan. And I think there's 4 or 5 more in process that have been, of course, in our system for years. But we're very proud of what those things have done. You ask about the research, how, what, why, where, and when. We now know so much in those studies. We know how and where it works in the body. We know when it works on a timing basis. We still have so far to go in so many other areas, which, by the way, makes it all very exciting on a day-to-day basis. But we can't thank them enough and what it's done for you and for me, my body in health, your body in health. I know Mark's in health. We are so proud to have been a part of helping you be all you can be.
Mark, what the processing now is different than it was 20 years ago. You've kind of spearheaded that. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we've incorporated the learning that has gone on at the University of Nevada, you know, particularly with understanding the glucan particle and how we can make it better. And that's something that we're always striving to improve, is constantly moving forward to provide a better product.
How's the family? Are they getting big?
Every day.
Three kids. Good for you. Home run. And thank you, Dr. Hunter, for being here. And Frank, by the way, you want to try it free? If you haven't already, this is the immunition, right? When you can't, beta-glucan. This will be mailed to you free of charge. There's about 10 of these in here. Trust me, when you're done with 10 days of this, you'll understand. You'll buy a carload of that. Thank you guys for coming in today. Thank you. Well, we've become kind of good buddies here. Dr. Mukesh Saraya is an amazing doctor. How would you like to be board certified? I mean, this is tough to get these certifications. In internal medicine, that's a tough one. Pulmonary medicine, that's a tough one. Sleep medicine, that's a tough one. He's all three. And he's working his practice here in Denton, Texas. And a year ago, we first meet, and he said, what do you do, Doug? Well, I think fungus. I got a little TV show. It's called Know the Cause. I think fungus is a problem. He came in. We chatted on the air. And then he attended a conference that I was the keynote speaker at, but they had just credentials all around me, these great, great doctors. And through the days, a couple days, I watched Dr. Saraya change to the point when we left, we hugged each other, and I got an email that said, I think this conference may have changed my world, but more importantly, my patient's world. Dr. Saraya does bronchoscopies on people. And let me show you what he sees. This is just a piece of paper, but on that paper is a whole lot of mucus, right? So tell folks what this is.
So a bronchoscopy, folks have probably undergone upper endoscopies, like looking at the stomach, doing a colonoscopy. It's similar to that. This is bronchoscopy, means the inspection of the airways. So what we do when we do a bronchoscope is basically pass a scope through the nose. Patients sedated, sleeping, they don't know what's happening. And we pass the scope through the nose and back of the throat, through the vocal cords, and kind of going in. The air we breathe in has to go through all this air passage down to the air sacs.
Wow.
And this is where the oxygen carbon dioxide is exchanged. Now, when I do a bronchoscopy, what I'm finding is plugs like this. And for instance, this here is an airway.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, this is an airway. It should look pale like this. All this redness is inflammation. Down here, deep, that we can't see right now, is a plug of mucus. So the scope would kind of end up, being in this region, and it's so thick that it won't come through the scope. So basically, at this point, I'm keeping my suction on, and I'm pulling the scope out, and then flushing out plugs of mucus, that look like this. So it's literally like a string of thick mucus. They're measuring. So this is a gauze. This is a 4x4. Right. This is a 4x4. So this plug of mucus that literally got pulled out from here, is measuring something like 10 centimeters long. Okay, and it's about at least 5 millimeters in thickness.
But that's just one of them.
That's just one plug.
You're saying
and you can see there are several plugs there. So what happens when this air passage is blocked is that all the alveoli that come after that, they're blocked off.
Yeah,
those sacs are they basically have dead air. So all the oxygen that's supposed to go in the bloodstream is blocked off. So this is when the oxygen levels are dropping. That's when a patient is short of breath. So one little plug, like what I just described, would block out 1/3 of the lung. And most patients have plugs in the left and the right side. So basically, you're looking at a patient with asthma. A lot of it is triggered by aspergillus. And you're literally looking at plugs of mucus that are just about everywhere. And you just wonder, when I look at it, I just wonder how a patient's breathing. Their oxygen levels are good because they're getting a little bit of air through. The x-rays don't show anything. And yet, they're full of plugs that could easily be missed by a family practitioner or even some pulmonologists.
Wow. So a doctor will look at their blood results, look at their chest x-ray and say,
You're fine.
I'm sorry you're coughing. I'm sorry you can't. Spirometry? Do you still do spirometry?
Absolutely.
So these patients blow into the thing and it's not even going up a little bit.
Absolutely.
There's something wrong inside. What's the cause? What is this?
These are plugs of mucus, and 80-90% of the time when these are cultured, I'm not going to find a bacteria in there.
You won't find?
No, I'm finding fungus, in the form of Aspergillus, Penicillium, Fusarium, Bipolaris. And a lot of these will actually coincide with when they do environmental studies in their homes or their workplace, they're finding the exact same identical mold in the environment.
In the ducting system.
In the duct system, in the air conditioning system, in the carpets,
Quickly,
in the bathroom.
do you like natural antifungals?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so, the problem with antibacterials and antifungals is, first of all, it's not quite proven, that each, one of these mold or fungus, is actually good. We do not get, on a fungi, we do not get a sensitivity like we do on bacteria.
Yeah. This is a doctor who views things differently since he now knows the cause, folks. His patients have benefited tremendously. I think the most excitement the last 3 or 4 months has been centered around kind of the Kaufman diet. When these patients follow the diet, they don't need to come back in, and get honed out. Dr. Soraya, thank you for your time today. Thanks for what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much, Doug.
Yeah.
I've been getting a lot of questions about iodine lately. High-dose iodine can be counterproductive. That's why I don't advise it unless you're tested and found to be deficient, or if you have fibrocystic breast disease. While it's true that iodine may help or even reduce a goiter, it's also true that too much can be bad. In fact, high-dose iodine can cause something called toxic multinodular goiter. I bet you're worried about taking too much iodine now. So what's a high dose? Well, it's hard to define because it's based on your individual chemistry, so you should be tested by your doctor, and I would do a 24-hour urine sample to evaluate your iodine levels. Now, some clinicians think a high dose of iodine is about 12.5 milligrams per day, and some say it's much, much less. My point is, the right amount of iodine heals your thyroid, whereas too much can make you worse. I'm Susie Cohen, America's pharmacist, and I love to think outside the pill.
What a day on Know the Cause. Thank you so much for the confidence you place in us to bring you this information. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. I'm here Monday through Friday to try and teach you this information. Fascinating. Thank you, Dr. Soraya. Thank you, Dr. Ken Hunter and Frank and Mark for coming out and continuing our education. Thank you, Nurse Jenny Herbacek. Here are the products we talked about with Frank and Mark and Dr. Hunter. Folks, this is the one I take every day and have for a long, long period of time. When I introed that segment, I said, does it work for the immune system? I am one lucky guy the past, 10, 15 years, or this really works. And I think this really works. What'd you think of the opening of the show? What do you think about cancer on the rise? We're getting older. That's why there's more cancer. What nonsense. We're getting more cancer because they're starting to realize we're being exposed to fumes of a germ that might contribute to that cancer. Okay, it's not because we're getting older. It's that because we're being exposed to fungus at a more rapid pace. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.